And then, before I wrap things up here, I do have to give you guys my home run call of the day. It's a segment I've been working on, and we killed it yesterday with Edwin. We killed it the time before with Max Muncy. So we're 2 for 2 on our home run calls. And today, my home run call is, probably going to be the most elite hitter I've ever called out to hit a home run since I started this, but I just love the spot for him, and that is Juan Soto.
And Soto pulls one on a pitch in, high and deep, and evidently way out of here. Those legs. And he drives it to left center. Nimmo going back and back. See you later.
Come on, it's not that easy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 5-game slate on Draftkings and Fanduel. And if you like guys that hit home runs in your Fanduel and Draftkings lineups, you've come to the right place. We have been on a roll with our home run calls. Last night, Juan Soto going yard twice. And so that makes me a perfect 3 for 3 since I started my home run segment, and I'm looking to keep that rolling today. Looking to give you guys a guarantee for a home run in your DraftKings and FanDuel lineups every single night. So with that being said, that's good stuff. I do have a Patreon package released. You can find the link in the description if you're interested in the content I've been putting out and you want some further deep analysis. I'm offering some things like my cheat sheet over there, my power rankings, things like that. So my power rankings will give you my top 3 play on the slate at each position, regardless of salary. So they're just optimal plays. I've dug into pitch data. If a guy's taking on a guy that throws a sinker 60% of the time and he crushes sinkers, I take into account that stuff. And I put a note for you guys and I tell you, this is why I like to play. So yeah, it gives me an opportunity to dive deeper later on in the day, get that information out to you guys. And, if you become a patron of mine, it helps support me and I greatly appreciate it. And then you can follow me over on Twitter at KJK DFS. For any, further updates, I'll try to tweet out to you guys as much as possible. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. So we've got a smaller slate. Slates like this, game theory become much more relevant, meaning, we're going to want to play some sneaky plays. We want to play the teams that are in really good spots, but we also want to throw in some sneaky guys. So as always, I first like to look at the pitchers we're going to want to target today. And when looking at the pitchers that we're going to want to target today, there's a few that really stand out. They're like way above the rest of the field on the slate, so that's going to make it interesting. And those two immediately that stand out are first Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish gets to take on Milwaukee today, and when looking at his matchup, they're a Milwaukee team that has been striking out a ton, and he's pitching in Chicago with the wind blowing in at 9 miles an hour. So Wrigley Field is the field that's most impacted by wind in the MLB. If the wind's blowing out, it's very significant. If the wind's blowing in, it's very significant. So that immediately makes us like Yu Darvish a lot more, not to mention his matchup. And when looking at Darvish's numbers, he's got a 30.1% K rate. He's solid across the board. He's got that 13.1 swinging strike rate, 34.3 fly ball rate, and the hard contact's down at only 30.5. And then when you look at his splits, he has a 34.7% K rate against righties and a 25.8 against lefties. So, we do prefer him against right-handed heavy lineups if at all possible, but he gets the job done against both. He's still got a decent strikeout rate against the lefties. And when looking at the lineup he's taking on today, they're going to be rolling out, their fair share of lefties, but there are 4 righties in there. So you're looking at essentially a 50-50 split. With just one more lefty in there than righties. So with the strikeout rates that these Brewers have displayed in Darvish's stuff, you got to like him. And then we have Tyler Glasnow, who comes in with a 30.8% K rate, 12% swinging strike rate. He's got that 49.2% ground ball rate. and the 32 fly ball rate. So once again, solid across the board. Against righties, he's got a 32.6% K rate, and against lefties, he's got a 29%. So he really gets the job done against both lefties and righties compared to Darvish. So that could be an argument to go Glasnow over Darvish. But Glasnow's taking on a Boston Red Sox team with guys that display lower strikeout rates. I mean, with that being said, it's Tyler Glasnow. He's 9.1 on DraftKings compared to a 10-4 price tag on Darvish, so you're going to get a discount there. And then, taking on the Red Sox, when you're looking at the Vegas lines, he's a 162 favorite. So when you factor in that he's a favorite and you factor in his stuff, you got to like him today. And then the third guy I'm going to mention is that in Jake Arrieta. You got to like Jake Arrieta here taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Hopefully he played some Zach Eflin last night. He was a guy that I had promoted in the same spot, because the Orioles strike out a ton, so we like to target them. And yeah, Eflin went out there and struck out. I don't even remember what he ended up with. I know he had at least 10 at one point when I was checking, but he was just, striking them out left and right. And Arrieta gets a chance to take on the same Baltimore team tonight. Looking at Arrieta's numbers, he comes in with a 19% swing or 19% K rate and a 7.5 swing strike rate. So he doesn't have elite strikeout stuff, but the ground ball and the fly ball is very good, and the hard hit rate's very good. So being that he's taken on this Baltimore team that strikes out a ton, and he's got respectable numbers, we can go ahead and throw him out there. Similar to the Eflin call last night, you got to take the matchup and run with it. And yeah, so I mean, those are some pitchers to have interest in. And then moving on to bats, you want to stay in the same game and target these Philadelphia Phillies. When looking at the pitcher they're taking on today in Eshelman, you can see his numbers are terrible across the board. He's got a 5.48 Sierra, a 6.02 ERA, 13% K rate, a 6.7 swinging strike rate, a 31 ground ball. Yeah, just a lot of red showing up on my sheet. Not good at all. He allows a 626 slugging to right-handed hitters and a 507 slugging to left-handed hitters. And the Baltimore Orioles have arguably the worst bullpen in baseball. So what you're going to want to do is stack these Phillies in every single way possible. If you're a sports bettor, you're going to want to probably bet on these Phillies. And yeah, I would say you could do it with some confidence today. Not that the Phillies have the best bullpen, but I mean, I think the Phillies are going to put up some runs today against the Eshelman and this Baltimore Orioles team. So I like the Phillies a lot. And, when breaking down Eshelman's numbers, I had mentioned it, they're just terrible across the board. I mean, we don't really care if it's lefties or righties, to be honest. He does look to struggle more against right-handed hitting, but we don't really care. We can target whoever we want. And, we just want to target the best hitters in the lineup. We want to target the guys with power. We want to target the guys with upside. So I like McCutchen, Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto, Didi. I really do like 1 through 9 in this lineup, and I think I've explained myself why. I really do like 1 through 9. If I'm picking my top options, it's going to be the core of this lineup. It's going to be 2 through 5. It's going to be Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, and Didi Gregorius. They're my top plays. Then moving further along, the second spot that we're going to target is the Cincinnati Reds, taking on Trevor Williams. When looking at Trevor Williams' numbers, he's less than stellar across the board. Really not great at all. His numbers against righties are respectable, but then if you look over here at lefties, that's the thing. He actually does do better against lefties in the hard and the slugging, but they're still not good. In the ground ball, and the fly ball rates are, around the same against righties. So he's just extremely below average. Best way to describe him across the board. He's just below average, and we like to target him. And he's taking on the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati, so he gets a park downgrade. Instead of having to pitch in Pittsburgh, his home park, that's a great pitching environment. He has to go to the Great American Small Park in Cincinnati, which makes us like these Reds even more. So, you know, I once again like these Reds pretty much, you know, up and down the lineup. My favorite options are going to have to be, you know, the guys with power. So Joey Votto in the middle of the order is a guy who doesn't really display the most power for DFS, so I don't like to play him a ton. But in a matchup like this with Williams, I could see him going yards. So I'll throw Votto into the lineup today for sure. But you know, I like Castellanos, Votto, Suarez, Winker in the middle of that order. They're probably my preferred options. You know, Winker's got the power against righties. Suarez has a ton of power. Castellanos has a ton of power. We prefer him against left-handed pitching, but we'll still play him. And go ahead and play some Freddie Galvez. I like Freddie Galvez a lot in DFS, especially in stacking spots. He's a guy that seems to never get enough attention, and I definitely like. I think Freddie could be a contrarian play today. We'll have to keep an eye on ownership, but if he's going to be low owned, I'll love him. Freddie's a guy I always like in the stacking spots because he's a switch hitter and he can always. He's very good at punching the ball in the gap. So if there's going to be a bunch of runners on base and a bunch of action, I like some Freddie today. And then, you know, my last couple options would probably be that in the first, the Chicago Cubs taking on Brett Anderson. And, you know, they're probably going to be, yeah, we'll go over them and then we'll go over one more stack for you guys. You know, Anderson doesn't strike anyone out. He has a 12.7% K rate, a 7.7 swinging strike rate. And then when you look at the hard contact and slugging against righties, it's below stellar. He doesn't walk anyone, and he does a good job in the ground ball and fly ball against righties, but he allows a lot of hard contact and slugging. And then against lefties, he's absolutely elite. So, you know, we're really looking to target these righties with power. So, you know, the Cubs have a few guys that crush left-handed pitching. The wind is blowing in from center at 9 miles an hour, like I had mentioned, but the guys we're going to want to target would be Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Wilson Contreras, David Bodie, and then Steven Souza. Those are my options to target today, right there. And then my home run call of the day is actually going to be, you know, I had mentioned this is a small slate. We need to mix up our lineups. We need to be contrarian. And my home run call of the day is going to be in a stack that I'm not really interested in, but I have a ton of interest in this one in particular hitter. And that is going to be Josh Bell. And why do I have interest in Josh Bell? Well, let's take a look at our friend Anthony Descalfani here. You look at his numbers, he looks pretty good across the board. Against righties, he's really good. You know, walk, ground ball, fly ball, woba. It's like, wow, he's a really good pitcher. Then you go over to lefties, and yeah, look at this. 502, 43% hard contact rate, 349 woba, you know, the 502 being the slugging, a 34% ground ball, and a 44.8% fly ball. We like us some lefties against Anthony Descalfani. And, you know, Josh Bell is a switch hitter, but he excels from the left-handed side of the plate. Crushes right-handed pitching, and he's hitting a home run today. I'm 3 for 3 on my home run calls. I'm looking to make it 4 for 4. If you guys like having home runs in your daily fantasy sports lineups, I think you're going to get some home runs from Josh Bell today. I could see him going yard, you know, at least once. I could see him going yard twice. We'll keep it rolling today off Descalfani. And if the Pirates stack doesn't really get it going, that's fine. Bell just hit one home run, and then they'll have still, you know, 1, 2, 3 runs on the board, and then Descalfani will still be in the game, and Bell will come up in another one. So that's the appeal of playing Bell as a one-off today. Love me some Josh Bell. Get him in your lineups. And then with that being said, I like all the lefties here. You know, Adam Frazier, Colin Moran, Gregory Polanco, Jared Dyson. I like all these lefties. You got to love them. When you look at the numbers that Descalfani displays against lefties, you got to love these lefties. But my top play is Josh Bell. Josh Bell is going deep. He's my home run call of the day. And, you know, let's do a quick little review of what I've gone over. It's a smaller slate, so we're going to want to be contrarian, but the Phillies are in a great spot. Play some Phillies. Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto, Didi in the middle of that order are my preferred options. The Rays are taking on this young kid in Kyle Hart who's making his debut, so we can definitely have interest in the righties that crush lefties. You know, I'm trying to get through this, but, you know, Bruce Mike Brusu, Yandy Diaz, Jose Martinez, Hunter Renfroe, and Willie Adames. And then you got Mike Zunino as the catcher. I like all those guys. Love the lefties for Pittsburgh. You know, maybe not a full stack. Vegas is saying they have a 3.87 implied run total, but Josh Bell is hitting at least 1 home run, so play a lot of Josh Bell today. Love me some Josh Bell. The Reds I had mentioned, you know, up and down. Williams is just average, so the power bats you want Suarez, Winker. Votto's a guy I don't typically play, but being that Williams isn't really showing any ability to miss bats, and Votto could probably get some power into his swing in this matchup. I like him today, and then Nick Castellanos. And I mentioned playing Freddie Galvez. I like Freddie Galvez a lot at that price tag at shortstop. These Cubbies righties that crush lefties, Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Wilson Contreras, Bote, and Souza, like them. And then, you know, the last game, I'm pretty much just fading across the board. I don't really have interest in any of these bats. The one spot that I would point out to you guys is maybe playing some of these righties on San Diego that crush left-handed pitching. So, you know, Tatis, Machado, Will Myers. Could see those guys. Mainly Tatis and Machado at the top of the order. If you want to go ahead and throw them as a 2-man stack, I would understand that. And, yeah, that's pretty much my summary of the slate. It's a weird one. It starts at 4 o'clock. You're going to have to be contrarian. Take some of the one-offs I mentioned. You know, take some of the individual names. Maybe throw in a blended lineup. You know, do a part stack. Throw in a few one-offs. Maybe, you know, whatever you want to do. A 3-3 stack and then 2 one-offs or whatever. You get the gist of what I'm saying. Just be contrarian. And my home run call today, once again, is Josh Bell. Josh Bell's hitting a home run. We're 3 for 3 so far on home run calls, so we're looking to make it 4 for 4. If you like guys that hit home runs in your fantasy lineups, go ahead and throw Josh Bell in your lineups tonight. I do have exclusive Patreon content over there on Patreon if you're interested. Link in the description. Follow me over on Twitter at KJK_DFS. And that's all from me today. I wish you all the best of luck tonight. And have a good one.